Hey, welcome back to another episode of It's a Football Thing, a special edition this evening, joined by my fellow co-hosts, Scott the Gooner, but not the Gooner this afternoon, and RJ, your balanced blue. We're here to talk about the headlines involving this weekend's Sydney derby, quote unquote, between our local team, the Macarthur Bulls, and Sydney FC, the Originals. Lots of headlines happening from that one, particular tweets getting quite inflammatory. Is it banter? Is it just a bit of disrespect? We're here to talk about it, Scott. What do you think, my man?
Mate, to derby or not to derby, that is the question. But I mean, I saw this tweet today while I was at work, and then I was kind of thinking about it, looking at the reactions, and I thought we've got to chat about this because this it's got a little bit of engagement, which is not necessarily a bad thing. No such thing as bad publicity, right? But when I saw that tweet, my initial reaction, and if you're living under a rock and you haven't seen it, Macarthur Bulls put out what I thought was a pretty good promo. Looked nice, saying, get ready for this. It's a Sydney derby. And then Sydney FC have replied saying Sydney derby with a little bit of a confused face. And it's just really kicked off a little bit from there. My initial reaction was really disrespectful. But I don't know, what do you make of it? Do you think it's disrespectful, RJ, or is it a touch of banter that you ironically would see between rivals?
You know what? I understand where you're coming from. We've got a little group chat and we've got some proud and passionate Bulls fans, and big up to them, of course, as well. I'd have to admit, when I first saw it, I actually had a bit of a tongue-in-cheek kind of laugh. I thought, this is good banter. They're trying to drum up a bit of noise. It's a little bit of tongue-in-cheek sort of stuff. But then when you dig a little bit deeper in terms of some of the interactions and commentary, you're thinking, were they being a little bit cheeky? Or was this just part of a bigger noise to help create a bit of noise for the match? But yeah, some of the commentary, I've got to say, I was a little bit surprised, a little bit inflammatory, I have to say. But again, it's how much do you make of it, what's on social media? But what it has done, and from an A-League perspective, it's definitely created a little bit of noise regarding this fixture, and I dare say more than it would have had we not had this tweet to kick things off. So, yeah, interesting, but yeah, a little bit controversial to say the least.
When going through it, I think it's interesting as well that the Wanderers have jumped in as well, just tweeting a little bit of a almost confused face, a bit of the real rivals almost holding hands and teaming up on this one, trying to bring the new little guy down. And I mean, for me, you've got to think, what is a derby, RJ? Now, we all love football, right, Pete? If you're watching this or if you've engaged with that tweet, somewhere along the line, you love some football. I don't think that the Macarthur Bulls team were trying to make out that this is, the premier Sydney derby. It's not at the moment. Yeah, the Wanderers and Sydney FC, I would hope, is the bigger derby, considering one is a foundation club and one's been around a lot longer. So I just think, I don't know if it was a necessary kind of tweet. You've got a new club in Sydney, a new club that's not playing some bad football at the moment, just won the Australia Cup. Sydney FC weren't able to clinch that one, didn't even make it into the final. So a little bit of disrespectful. I feel like this is a little bit of kicking the little guy in order to stop him from getting up. But this could backfire, RJ, because to me, if I'm Dwight York, I don't even need to give a pre-match talk. I'm printing some of the comments under there. And as I scroll through it, I'm not going to kind of quote things directly, but you had that bit of banter then about Sydney FC being the Eastern Suburbs club, which they always have. Sydney FC do not represent all of Sydney. They have always been more aligned with the East. And you just see some of the comments, some of the disrespect from opposition fans saying, that the Bulls don't matter. They're a really small club.
They're irrelevant. They're really inflammatory, mate. I've seen them. They're really full on. And like you said, Dwight, you print out these pages and the motivation is even clearer than what it was. And we have a very real example in the Premier League just recently with Wolves and Forest engaging in a bit of pre-match cheeky banter. And admittedly, it was nice having the little cute Wolves sitting there. And at the end of it, it was the Wolves who had the last laugh with their social media team coming up with the old wood chopper at the end. So I think even they admitted at the end, going forward, putting these kinds of things to provide that extra 1% in a competitive professional environment can give you the edge. And like you said, Dwight York, he might count this as a blessing to say, look, see, you won the Australia Cup. Nobody cares. In their eyes, you're irrelevant. You're nobody. So you might as well just fold over. What are you going to do about it? So it'll be interesting to see what the reaction, if any, is going to be.
And I hope there is a reaction from the playing squad. I mean, there's guys in there. You look at someone like Daniel Arzani. You see, he doesn't mind a bit of a niggle. He doesn't mind that bit of bish bosh in there. So hopefully the squad really step up and try and earn that bit more respect. I mean, like I said, did just win the Australia Cup. Obviously, the crowd number's not quite what we want yet, but the club are trying to do a lot of things to grow. And I mean, beating Sydney FC, if you're not going to have the bigger supporter base yet, at the very least, take pleasure in putting these guys in their place and beating them on the pitch, because ultimately that's where it matters. This is a local derby. It's a local derby. We do share a state. Whoever has the biggest stake, not really relevant, still a derby. So I'm hoping that the Bulls come out fired up. I think they've got more than enough to come out and win this game because they've played some decent football. I do worry ahead of the match, RJ, obviously with the VA out. I worry a little bit about us, that midfield creativity and getting the ball in the back of the net. But I think if we can feed Daniel Arzani with the right kind of ball, Lockie Rose has caused some problems in terms of his intense press. We just need to take that.
Silva's been very strong as well. Silva, he's been very, very strong. And of course, Craig Noon as well, playing really good football. But like to your point, it's about it's nice to have history and legacy on your side. And Sydney definitely have proven to be one of the marquee clubs in the competition. So full credit to the great legacy that they're building. But equally, they should have a little bit more humility. I would say you've got to start from somewhere. They won the inaugural competition, and that was great. We went to the match, and it was a great atmosphere for the country's development. But equally, it takes time to improve. And to be fair to MacArthur, they have been quite competitive since their inception, and they finished above them last season. They're currently above them on the table. So to go and throw out this kind of banter and commentary, it's like, this could come back to backfire Sydney. If I'm there, I might want to put some water on that, because this could cause a little bit of a mini spark from Dwight and his Bulls, because their team, like you said, current Australia Cup winners, started off with a couple of decent results, a very good win against Adelaide, could have walked away with the win against Western United, and as well very unlucky against Brisbane Roar. They haven't been playing perfectly, of course. They have lost their inspirational captain. But for a new team with new management, there's definitely good momentum. And if I'm Sydney FC, I wouldn't be overly confident that this is going to go the way that they expect.
Yeah, I mean, look, obviously only 3 games in, but MacArthur is sitting on 5 points. They're on 4. Neither team has been scintillating, both with only 1 win apiece. And MacArthur haven't lost a game yet, which Sydney FC have. So if I'm a Sydney FC fan, I'm kind of thinking, have we added some unnecessary fuel to the fire? And also, if I'm a Sydney FC fan from the western suburbs, from southwestern Sydney or wherever, I'm kind of thinking, why are these guys playing up? We're a team just for the east. If I'm a Sydney FC fan from the west, I may be a little bit frustrated by this. But look, ultimately, you do your best talking on the pitch. You can talk as much as you want on social media, but all that matters is the 3 points at the end of the day. And hopefully, RJ, I know we'll both be at that match. Hopefully we're banking 3 points and celebrating a win in what I would call a local derby.
I think so. I just want to get your thoughts very quickly from an administrative point of view, because we like to think a little bit strategically on the show. Of course, it's not just about the on the pitch. It's all of the clubs off the pitch as well. Mm-hmm. What do you think, if you are in charge of the A-Leagues, what do you make of that kind of exchange? Do you think that's some good banter, it's drumming up some interactions, it's putting a lot of energy towards this fixture? Or do you think on the other side of the coin, where we want to build collectively, yes, it's not the prime Sydney derby, but if we play our cards right, we can foster enough energy into this and make these derbies a lot more sustainable? What do you think?
Look, I think the proof will be in the pudding. I'm hoping that as many fans as possible get out to the match. I'm hoping that it's an intense atmosphere. If you're a MacArthur fan, you've got no better reason now to get to this match and make as much noise as you can and really give it to these guys. And you know that Sydney FC are going to bring fans. I mean, that's going to happen. So the proof will be in the pudding. I don't think it's going to hurt the competition or the league. And I hope it has the adverse effect and fires not only the players up, but fires up the fans as well. So it'll be interesting. The proof will be in the pudding. But of course, if people are new to the channel, we will be dabbling in some more domestic content, as well as covering the English Premier League and other international leagues and competitions. With a World Cup right around the corner as well, there's no better time to subscribe to It's a Football Thing. But RJ, any closing thoughts, mate, before we end this recording?
I'm very excited for this Sydney derby. Make no mistake, we're going to be loud, we're going to be proud, and let's hope the reigning Australia Cup champions really take it to the proud Sydney FC.
Prediction, quickly?
Yeah, I'm going to be slightly bullish here. Maybe it's the bit of the arrogance / hurt that I've received from that tweet. But in all seriousness, it's going to be a really great game, I think, very energetic. Hopefully we're a lot less open because we have been exposed in transition. I'm just hoping that we keep it nice and tight at the back, and Dwight is really focused on that. And if we can keep it tight and keep it in a contest within the first half, there's no reason why we can't walk away with all 3 points. So I'm going to lock in a 2-1 to the mighty Bulls.
I'm going 1-0 to the Bulls. I think we're good enough to shut them out. It's just going to come down to how well we handle some of their more creative players. So, RJ, it's been an absolute pleasure linking up with you for this random one. Please make sure you subscribe, like the video, put your comments down below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you have a score prediction? Let us know. But until then, take care, look after yourselves, and of course, enjoy your football. Let's go Bulls.